Hey guys, this is Mr. Edmond, and I just wanted to create a little video here that will be on Canvas all year long, basically as a way to let you know what we do in here, and something that you can reference or even show your parents or whoever wants to see it really, and just to give you an idea of a little bit of how I teach, what I think, who I am. Not so much a lot of history stuff in this. This is more about the class itself. So what you're in American history, and what we're going to do is kind of pick up where eighth grade left off. And so when you see 1865 to now, well, 1865 is actually the end of the Civil War, and you can see Abraham Lincoln here getting assassinated. And so we're going to pick it up with the end of the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln has been assassinated. The country is kind of reeling. We've been torn apart by a civil war. Now the president's dead. What's that going to do for everything as far as putting the country back together? And so that's kind of where we start is the post Civil War era, 1865, late 1800s, and we'll end the first semester. Notice it says first semester. We'll end the first semester with the Roaring Twenties, and the Roaring Twenties will actually be a really good time period. And there were even some Americans who said that we'll never have bad times in America again. Whoops. Yeah, that's unrealistic. But that's kind of the first semester. Then the second semester, we'll pick up with that bad time called the Great Depression. So the people in the 20s were a little wrong, and we'll go all the way to now. And so when I say now, I mean now. And it's really kind of cool that between 8th and ninth grade, you're going to be having the entire history of the United States in basically 2 years. And remember, it doesn't stop. The word history, if you break it down, is really high and story, kind of like, hi, what's your story? And so the story for the United States does not stop. And I think if anything, you could probably say to yourself, yeah, no kidding. Because 2020, with the pandemic and everything else going on, 2020 was a heck of a year. And so history doesn't really stop. And so if you've never thought of the word that way before, maybe that helps. So what we do in here, in my room, in my class, now, if we go remote, when it says no lectures, if we're in class on a day in, day out basis, I really need you guys. I need your energy. I need you to want to research, to want to participate, which I'll get to here in a little bit. And so in a classroom setting, we're going to be doing a lot of that, and especially with you having computers in front of you every day. And so that's going to make looking things up and researching and bouncing off of each other so much easier. And it's so much better than a textbook, quite honestly, too. And so I need you to participate. I need your energy. That I teach on average 4 to 5 classes of American history, of freshman American history every year. And every one of my classes has a different personality. So first period is different than second period. That is different than third period. And it's all based on what the students do when they walk into my classroom. I teach the same actual lesson over and over again during the day, but the students, and quite honestly myself, I may enjoy the teaching of that lesson second period way more than third period, because second period, all the students come in and they have energy and they're ready to go, and we have fun. And then the next class comes in and it's the exact same lesson, and nobody wants to talk, and everybody's going to stare at me like they hate me. And well, that has a whole different vibe to it. So I cannot stress enough. I need you guys to be willing to do that, to be willing to participate, and hopefully my style of teaching will allow you to feel comfortable doing that. So, but now if we go online and we do remote learning, it'll be a little more direct. It'll be, I wouldn't say lecturing, but it'll be a little more direct, where I will say, okay, here's what we're looking at specifically today. I need you to do this, but it's still going to have your participation in it. So history is a lot more than dates and dead people, guys. I hate it when I hear people say history is nothing but boring facts. It's so not true. And actually something I'll have you guys do is tell me in the first week a little bit about yourself. I want you to tell me a little bit about your history, and hopefully it's not boring. I want to know a little bit about you, and I highly doubt you're going to give me a bunch of dates and dead people. I just don't think you're going to do that. So this will be more clear as we go, but I can't stress enough that I need your energy. I need you to come in with an open mind. If you've had history classes in the past that you don't like and you think it's a boring subject, please give me a chance, because I'm somebody who thought that history was boring when I was taught it in school. And so I try to teach it in a different way that makes it more real. These are real people living through all of these events that have emotions just like you and me. And so if I told you there was a pandemic in 1920, and well, how did those people live through it? Exactly. I don't need facts. I want to know how those people lived through it. And maybe that'll help the next time that we have a pandemic. Oh, wait, that happened in 2020. So these are real people living through this stuff. So that brings me to speaking of things that are going on. One of the parts of this class will be, we will talk about things that are happening right now. And it's, for instance, if I said to you, what election is coming up? Do you know? Or if I said, can you give me some of the candidates in the upcoming election? It could be a national election. It could be an election in Tiffin, Ohio. And do you know? And so, and now it's not just that, though. It's not just about elections and voting. If I asked you to give me a world event that has happened, or something that's going on in the world right now, other than the pandemic, then could you do that? And so what I want you to be able to do is know where to find news, know what is news. News is not Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok. That is not news. And I know we have leaders that use Twitter, but that is not news. So how do we know that something is factual? And we'll talk about that during the year. Part of you growing up, guys, I teach way more than history. I'm helping you hopefully become a better person and have habits that will help you your whole life. And so knowing what's going on in your world right now is gigantic to understanding how things affect you. So this is something that we'll do on a regular basis, especially if something big happens or is going to happen. We'll talk about it. You got to know what's going on in your world now before we talk about 1874. You've got to know what's going on now. So current events are a big part of the class too. Now, the nitty-gritty of class. Homework. Well, if you notice, a lot of the homework that we do is in class. So if you come in ready to go, this is what I'm talking about with energy. If you come in ready to go, if you come in saying, okay, what are we doing today? I know you have lives outside of school. So do I. And so I want to do things that are fun when I go home. And I don't want to always think about work. And so if you can give me your time and you can put forth the effort, homework will be minimal in my class. Okay. Now, if we go on remote learning at some point, yes, obviously you're going to be doing that work at home, but that also, I'll help you come up with a schedule for yourself. If you're somebody who can never seem to get something done, and notice I put on here the number one reason students do not pass the class, and this is really any class, is homework. It probably means you don't have a system. You don't have a schedule of when you do homework. You just kind of wing it. And so if that sounds like you, then I can help you with that. And again, that's a life skill that you're going to develop, of getting things done and getting them done on time. And that's something that when you have a job later in life, they're going to expect that you are able to do. And so I'll help you with that. But again, if you come into class ready to go, ready to do the work I ask you to do, then even when we do remote learning, it should, if you come up with a system, it's something that should not take you hours and hours and hours to accomplish. That's not how I do things. When it comes to tests, we'll get to tests eventually. Now, if you get freaked out by seeing an average of one test a week, well, look at it this way. I look at testing as hitting the pause button and me seeing if you're getting everything I need you to get. That are you getting this? Are you understanding it? And that's a test. And so if we do one a week, I'm probably not testing over a bunch of stuff. And so look at it that way. So don't let it freak you out that once we get going in the year that we do one test a week. Really, no. It's almost better for you because we're testing smaller amounts of information. I do make you write. Notice essays in capitals. I do make you write. And an essay, by the way, is not who was Abraham Lincoln. That is not an essay. That's a definition. An essay would be, for instance, when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, how did Americans react? How did normal American people react to the president being killed? That's an essay. And so if this is something that scares you, It'll be okay. I'll walk you through it. We'll be fine. The one thing that I will say, and notice it on here, I hand out study guides for every single test we'll ever take. There'll be a study guide. It goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Students who do the study guides do really well on my tests. Students who don't do the study guides and blow off the test, because that's what you're doing, don't do very well on tests. So it's a pretty simple equation. And guys, I can't stress this enough. In high school, we give Fs. That is not a threat. You earn whatever grade you earn. And if you don't pass the class, you take the class again. And so if you've been passed through over the years, or I haven't done things in the past and they still give me a D, that stops now. We don't do that in high school. So you earn the grade that you get. I don't give grades. You earn the grade that you get. So I'll harp more on this as we get closer to tests. So, but again, it's something that once we get going, that'll happen about once a week. Now, usually in the first week of school, everybody, how do I pass a class? How do I pass a class? Well, basically, participate. The more you participate, and again, guys, this is any class. The more you participate, the better off you're going to be. And so participate. Do the work. Have an open mind. Be willing to learn and to say, okay, one of the greatest things you can teach yourself is knowing what you don't know. And you got to really slow that down. Being able to know what you don't know, and then being able to learn it. Being able to say, I want to know more. I mean, we're talking about the history of America, what made us the way we are. And when we see protests that go on, why is that going on? And why protests? And how do we change things? That's what we're talking about. So participate is the key thing. Discipline, and when you come into my room, you'll see that I do not have big poster boards up that say, keep your hands to yourself. To me, that's elementary school. I have common sense rules, and common sense is I respect you until you give me a reason not to, and I expect you to respect other people, and until they give you a reason not to respect them, I guess. But common sense, guys. If you come in and you swear and you have an attitude, and now if you have an attitude and I haven't seen you all day, I might pull you aside and say, "You all right? What's going on?" Because I do care. But at the same time, if you start swearing at me in class, well, obviously common sense. There's going to be consequences to that. If I go take my truck and go through downtown Tiffin at 100 miles an hour, and a police officer pulls me over and says, he shouldn't have to say, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" I should understand that I was going 100 miles an hour in downtown Tiffin. You can't do that. And so now it's kind of a joke that I have red hair. It's kind of but redheads have tempers. Well, in the sense that you don't want my hair to show. And if you don't want my hair to show, then just have common sense. Have common sense. And this is life lessons again. So guys, it's not surprising. Students who spend their lives in high school in detention wind up in jail later in life. They break rules in school, and then they go outside of school and they break rules again. So when I say life lessons, whatever habits, good or bad, that you get into now are going to carry forward into your life. And again, I teach more than history, in my opinion. I'm trying to help you become the best person you can be by the time you leave the school, because after you leave the school, the real world's waiting. So now, Remind, this is something that we'll get to later on. I'm still not sure exactly how I'll use it, because now we have Canvas. And so if I feel like we might need to use this, I'll get to it later. This is a way for me to contact you, contact everybody in my class at one time. And now that we have Canvas, that's easier to do. So this is something that I'm still seeing if I'll use. So if we get back to Remind 101, if you've never used it before, it's a text service. And I don't text you specifically. I text the entire group. And so I know Band uses this. If I feel like we need it, then I'll bring it back into my classroom. But I think that with Canvas, it's going to allow us to do this anyway. So more to come on this later. Then finally, if you need help, and there, of course, I am. If you need help, please, please, please. I am in room 203 all day long. It kills me when I have students say, "I couldn't find you." And it's like, you couldn't find me. It's room 203. And and it's not a joke. I even eat lunch in my room. And so if I'm not in my room, I either went down to the bathroom for about 3 minutes, or I went to the office for about 3 minutes to see if there was anything in my mailbox. Other than that, I'm in 203 all day long. And I am here to help you. Please, if you're having struggles in my class, please uh, ask me for help. And if I see a problem, oh, believe me, I'll pull you aside and we'll talk if I see the problem. If I can't see it, I've had students who are A and B students that are getting a C, and I know nothing about you. I know nothing about you, and I do it on purpose. The reason I don't want to know anything about you is you have a clean slate with me. I don't want any preconceived notions on my part about who you are. I don't know if you're an A student. I don't know if you get in trouble all the time. I have no idea. When you walk into my room, you have a clean slate. And I hope you do the same thing with me. If you've had other history classes before that you didn't like or were boring, give me a chance, please. Please give me a chance. If you talk to other students and they say something about me, good or bad, well, that was their experience. That's not necessarily going to be yours. So I don't know anything about you. So if there's something going on that I can't see and you're having a problem with, please feel like you can come talk to me, because that's what I'm here for. Finally, I want to have fun. I don't do this job because I don't want to have fun. And in my opinion, American history, you can't help but laugh at American history sometimes. And mainly because we haven't learned very much as a country from our mistakes, but we'll see that as we go. Sometimes if you don't laugh, you'll cry. But guys, I like to have fun. I like to joke around in subject, and you'll see as the year goes along, you'll see what I mean by that. That I want to have fun. To me, that's the best way to learn. So bring your energy, bring everything that you can bring to the table in my classroom, and I'll do the same. Looking forward to the school year, and we'll talk to you soon.